Exactly 3 weeks ago on May 19th, JP Morgan said that institutions were dumping Bitcoin for gold, while the Pycycle top, Elon FUD, China FUD, other FUD, and tons of bearish tentacles were absolutely blasted at us. Take a moment to consider the possibility that all of this coordination was to trick you into thinking that this was the end of Bitcoin, so that you would sell for cheap. And after El Salvador just made Bitcoin legal tender as the first country in the world to do so, and has also announced plans for 100% clean and 100% renewable zero-emission energy from volcanoes, the fundamentals have never been more bullish. And what are the chances that Bitcoin bears attempting to scare you and short Bitcoin below 20,000 US dollars and even 4 digits just got milked? I'm your host, Monty Moonblast, and this is absolutely big. We have a lot to be getting into today, guys. Fundamentally, and also technically, as symmetrical triangles, as I've been mentioning for literally the past week, are probably the most likely of patterns that usually just have fake outs that reverse the exact opposite way. So we're going to be talking about that as well, as clearly the symmetrical triangle broke out to the downside. But what now are the chances, as we're now back in the center of this triangle, what are the chances that we reverse to the upside over the next few days? So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn to miss your absolutely time-sensitive alerts. And without any further magoo, let's pump on in. Oh, so before we get into the Bitcoin charts, guys, what exactly has been going on? So the top 5 Bitcoin whales buy an additional almost 4,000 Bitcoin at $33,000 just a few hours ago, and you can see that here. But as well, something I find very interesting here, okay? And this has to do with the XRP Ripple case. And if you guys are watching this channel for a long time, I don't really like Ripple, and I don't hate Ripple. I'm kind of pretty neutral towards it. But one thing that I will say is I hope that Ripple absolutely demolishes this case, right? I hope they come out as the winner, because it does have huge ramifications for crypto moving forward. And admittedly, this is fact. So after losing several discovery disputes against Ripple, the SEC warns the court that if it loses this case, it will cause irreparable damage to the SEC related to the future enforcement actions in the crypto space. And the court should consider such consequences before ruling. Basically, what does this mean? Okay, what it means is the SEC is using Ripple to come after crypto. If Ripple falls in this lawsuit, do you think that the SEC is going to be emboldened or weakened by that? What they did was actually tell the court that the Ripple case will cause so much damage to them, the SEC, that they will not be able to go after other cryptocurrencies basically in the future. So if you like cryptocurrency and you like freedom, then I think it's very clear which side you should be on in this case. And as well, if we think back just exactly 3 weeks, May 19th, when we had the absolutely devastating collapse of Bitcoin price, right here from like mid 40,000s all the way down a little bit below 30,000. It took so much coordinated FUD to get there. There were so many factors happening. It was a mix of Elon. There was the China FUD. There was even this article posted on May 19th from JP Morgan saying the institutional investors are getting rid of their Bitcoin and going into gold. That is absolute baloney. And its only use, the only purpose of this was to scare Bitcoin investors. Do you think long-term anyone cares at all about gold? And as well, something I think is interesting here, because everyone's talking about the Pycycle top, I just want to highlight a few things here. And I'm kind of bringing this up because I want to ask the audience, kind of ask you guys what you think about this. So this was the cross that we had back in 2014. Okay, we zoom in, you can see this orange line. Clearly, the 111 DMA went clearly above the 350 and then swooped back down, and that was the cross, right? And then if we go to 2018, zoom in here, you can see the same thing. You can see this, actually let me zoom back out and do that again. So you can see it kind of crossing up here and then coming back down. And that you can see that the orange line, if we zoom in even more, you can see the orange line was above this green line. But what I think is interesting here, if we zoom in to currently, you can see that they touched, okay? The green and orange line touched here in 2021. But I cannot find a single instance where this green line is actually below the orange line. So it looks as though, yes, it probably did get across. It's hard to tell unless you zoom in really significantly there. But again, the important thing about the Pycycle top was that this has not been used yet to predict anything. Now, if Bitcoin truly does enter a 2-year bear market, then the Pycycle top will be admittedly a very good indicator of future bear markets. But I think at this moment it is still yet to be proven useful or valid yet, Because keep in mind, the pi cycle top was made after both of these previous crosses. This cross that we're seeing, if you would call it that, is the very first one that it predicted, okay? Remember, it was created after both of these, but before this cross. So again, it has yet to be seen if this is actually significant or valid at all. And as well, before we get into the price action, more importantly, okay, I'm sure everyone has already heard about this, but El Salvador already has passed. Bitcoin is now legal tender in the country. But what I think is even more awesome is they're already taking the initiative to look for renewable, clean, zero-emission energy, and they're looking at volcanoes to do this, right? It's insanely impressive, I will say, most of all, how quickly El Salvador has done all of this. Okay, I believe that the laws take effect in roughly 90 days, but everything has been passed. I'm absolutely blown away. When I heard about this being brought up at the Bitcoin conference just a few days ago, I thought, okay, awesome. We might have to wait a few months for this bill to get passed or whatever. Because if it was in the US, it would probably, let's be realistic, it would probably take years because the US is slow with everything. El Salvador has already passed this just a few days later, and it's just insanely exciting. And I think a lot of people agree that this is just one first step. You could argue El Salvador has an insanely small GDP. They don't have a lot of money. Well, that's true. However, if you look at the bigger picture, you see why this is absolutely insanely good for Bitcoin and also insanely good for El Salvador. Also, if we take a look on the 1 hour chart with Bitcoin, we did actually come back into the center of this symmetrical triangle. Remember, we busted through here. We set a bottom exactly where the one bottom was back on May 23rd. Keep in mind, not the lowest low, the actual bottom at right around 30K set on May 19th, exactly 3 weeks ago. But you see, we came down here and now we've bounced all the way back inside. Now, again, Bitcoin is not out of the woods in the short term right now anyway. But the point is, if you think Bitcoin is going away, which I get a couple of comments every day from extremely low IQ people that just absolutely have no idea anything about Bitcoin, sharing their opinions on why Bitcoin is some sort of Ponzi or something else because they have literally zero knowledge about it. If you think Bitcoin is going away anytime soon, then you're going to be waiting for a very, very long time. And feel more confident, feel more proud, and just feel more bolstered up when Bitcoin price is lower to come down and leave a comment like that. But I hope you have the cojones to come back when Bitcoin is at $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 plus and say the same thing, because it's inevitable. But most importantly, on the daily chart for Bitcoin, really, I think the biggest thing, obviously still on the daily chart, is getting back above the 21 DMA, and that's where we're struggling to get right now. So since yesterday, we've already pumped about 20% for Bitcoin, and the entire altcoin market is up as well. Similarly, but the 21 DMA is just very important to get above. It could still take a few days to get above this, but ultimately, guys, I think that is where it's heading. As I've been saying literally since this day on May 19th, I think this is the bottom, and so far I've been proven right. This has been exactly 3 weeks, 21 days since then, and up until this point, I'm sure a lot of people are holding their breath that want me to be wrong about that, but so far, Bitcoin is held, and it has not gone below those levels. There is a lot that needs to happen on the technicals, actually, to keep going up, because, again, over the last few weeks, we've created a lot of overhead resistance solidified overhead resistance that Bitcoin has to go back above. However, in the long term, it's not something I'm concerned about whatsoever. And as well, $325 million of Bitcoin short liquidations have occurred over the last 24 hours. You love to see it. Don't short freedom. I think this is going to continue, guys. I think, as I talked about yesterday, everybody is creating their own faulty amateur wick-off patterns on the 1 hour chart, on like the 5-minute chart and everything like that, because everyone's heard of this wick-off pattern by now. People were commenting like, oh, I finally mentioned it. Yeah, I've been aware of it since everyone started talking about it weeks ago. I just thought it would be a little redundant to also kind of just say the same thing everyone's saying about that. But we have everyone doing their own wick-off accumulation and redistribution patterns. And we also have so many people screaming from the top of their lungs that Bitcoin is not only crashing to 20, but even 15, potentially down to 4 digits underneath 10,000 US dollars. And guys, I think we all know the story there. When everyone's bullish, sometimes it's not that good to be bullish. And when everyone's bearish, sometimes it's not that good to be bearish. But I think overwhelmingly right now, the amount of people that are in short positions is very high. A lot of people are short Bitcoin right now. But again, in the grand scheme of things, I would still love to see Bitcoin get pushed down to 30K to see how it reacts. Because if it would, okay, if Bitcoin would get pushed to 30K, if something crazy would happen and Bitcoin actually get to 20 or even below 20,000, do you think it would stay there long? Okay, I don't think that's even going to happen. But if it did happen, how long do you think that it would stay there? And for all of the people that sold at 35K or 40K or 30K and they're expecting to buy back in at 15 or 20K, I hope you have your orders set because you're not going to be able to do it manually. I personally think it is going to be, if we would ever get a situation like that, you would have literal seconds to potentially scoop any of that. And realistically, I think half the exchanges would be down anyway if that would happen. So you probably would not be able to get in. So if you sold already, good luck. Well, also, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, absolutely time-sensitive alerts. Make sure to get your hardware wallets to store your cryptos and everything like that. And without any further ado, that's it for me. Bye-bye.